We are going over the 8.4 to 8.6 review. The order of the matrix is the dimensions of the matrix. And so you may want to write down in your notes, because remember this is an open note test, that order, oops, I should probably be in a pen. Order means dimensions. And it's always the number of rows by the number of columns. So this first one is only one row. So you would type in one row. And it is 3 columns. The next one is 2 rows by 3 columns. Sorry, my daughter's in the background. The next one is scalar multiplication of the matrix. And scalar multiplication just means you take the number on the outside and you multiply it to everything inside the matrix. So this first one, 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times -1 is -3. So we can type in -3. The next one, 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 2 is 6. And 3 times 5 is 15. With matrix addition, you are adding the things that are in the same spot in the matrix. So this 3 on the top left, you'd add with the 3 on the top left. The 4 on the top right, you'd add with the 3 on the top right. -1 would be added with -2, 0 added with -5, 5 and 1, 2 and 1. So in each of these, I'm just going to do that addition. No, I want an actual keyboard, please. 3 plus 3 is 9, or sorry, 6. 4 plus 3 is 7. -1 and -2 is -3. And don't put any spaces when you're doing negative, just type in the minus button and then 3. 0 and -5 is -5. 5 and 1 is 6. 2 and 1 is 3. And you are going to get a point for each of those fields. So if you happen to make a mistake in one little spot, it's not going to make the entire question wrong. It will just make that portion of it wrong. Now that does mean that number 1 is worth 4 points. Number 2 is worth 6 points. Number 3 is worth 6 points. So those questions are worth quite a lot. This next one, the first thing that you need to do is figure out what A is, then figure out what X, Y, and Z are. You'll notice that the top right position, we have 3, 2, and 8. So I know that A times 2 plus, A times 3 plus 2 equals 8. So that's 3A plus 2 equals 8. I would subtract 2 on both sides to get 3A equals 6. That means that A is 2. Now you could rewrite this on your paper if you wanted to. That might make things a little bit easier. So just to recap, to find this A equals 2, we did this first thing, A times 3 plus 2, and that gave us 8. That's where we got that equation from. Now, to find X, you're going to use everything associated with the X position. So this is the top left. So you're going to look at everything that's in the top left and this 2 in front. So we have 2 times 2 plus 1. That's going to give us X. That's 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So I know that X is 5. Then we will do 2 times 4 plus 0 equals Y. So that means that Y is 8. Sorry about the crinkling. My daughter's messing with her jelly bellies. 2 times -1 plus 3 equals Z. That's -2. -2 plus 3 is 1. So Z equals 1. Now it's asking what is X plus Y. x plus y, 5 plus 8, is 13. So in here we type in 13. And then x plus z, 5 plus 1, is 6. To do the graph questions, you really need to use your mouse, so your little mouse pad on your computer. The touch screen does not work very well for this. Also, Google Chrome works the best with these features. If you're trying to use Microsoft Edge, it often kind of freaks out. So make sure you're using Google Chrome, and make sure you're using your mouse or your touch pad on your keyboard, not touching your screen. Okay, to put graphs and lines in EdSite, you have to click these 3 buttons. So you click these buttons and do things in those buttons. So line A, you click line A, it's going to put a random line up there. You want this line to be x is greater than -3. So x is greater than -3, that's going to be a vertical line at -3. Now look carefully at these little numbers because it's kind of weird how they number it. So 3 is actually the one after 2. Make sure you count that. The boxes are legit, so each box does represent 1. And then move the other point to make a vertical line. It does not matter if you put your point up here or down here. It really does not matter as long as you've created that vertical line. Then you click if you want this to be a dashed line or a solid line. And we want this to be a dashed line. Don't worry about the shading right now, although on your paper, I would put in, there's my dashed line, and it's going to be shaded over here. It is very, very helpful to sketch this on your paper, even if it's a very, very rough sketch. Then you click line B. Line B is this line, y is less than 1/3 x plus 2. Start with plus 2, so get one of your dots at 2 on the y-axis. Grab your other dot and count up 1, right 3 to make your slope. This one also needs to be a dashed line, and I would sketch this in on your graph like this. Maybe using a different color, that might help. It needs to be less than, that means we would shade down. Now, the important thing about sketching it on your paper is that you don't put in EdSite where they are both, where each of them is shaded. You only put where they are both shaded. You want the final solution area. So, when you click Solution Set, you can click each of these to highlight them, but only one of those 4 areas is correct. It would be this area, where it is less than the slanted line and greater than the vertical line. But having that on your paper so you can see where that area is very helpful. Because if you submit this as your answer, it will be counted wrong. You only want to shade the final solution area where the 2 inequalities overlap. On this next one, we have a little bit of work to do. We are starting with negative 2x minus 3y is greater than or equal to 6. We need to get this ready to graph. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. That gives me negative 3y is greater than or equal to 2x plus 6. Divide everything by negative 3. Now when we divide everything by negative 3, that takes the greater than equal to symbol and switches it. So we have negative 2/3 x minus 2. All right, so if I want to graph that one, I click line A, and again, use your mouse, not your touch screen. One of these points needs to be at negative 2. Sorry if my mouse went crazy there for a second. And then a slope of negative 2/3. So from this point down to right 3. This one does need to be a solid line, so I would leave it as a solid line, or if it happened to be dashed, I would change it from dashed to solid, but make sure that it's solid. Line B, I wanted to sketch this on my paper too. So this is a line like this, and shading it less than would be shading the down area. All right, now line B is a horizontal line. Y is greater than negative 5 is a horizontal line. at -5. And check those numbers to make sure that you're actually at -5. Maybe count the boxes if you need to. Remember, the other point, it doesn't matter where the other point is. In fact, it doesn't matter where the first point is, as long as you have a horizontal line at -5. I just like to put the point right on -5. So this one is going to be a dashed line. And I would sketch this in on my paper. Greater than means we would shade up. So the area where they are both shaded is kind of the top left, kind of in between the two graphs. So I click Solution Set and I shade in that area. Remember, if you click in this answer, that is wrong. You can only submit the final solution area where the two overlap. So I highly recommend that you sketch the graph. I mean, look at that graph that I made. It's very, very rough. It's not a nice looking graph at all. Make a rough sketch on your paper so that you can use that to visually help you see where the final solution area is. And that's our last question. Make sure we have everything done. I need to check myself. I need to check my test because it looks like I may have put an error in here. Okay, it looks like in number 5, I did not have the slanted line as dashed. I will make sure to go in and change that so that it is grading correctly. So that should be fixed before you guys get to the test. All right, if you have any questions, let me know.